Yes, people, welcome back to Thai Sports, where today we're talking about the news that Alexander Isak has not gone on tour with Newcastle. Alexander Isak is not on tour with Newcastle, and there's going to be a few questions as to why. What is going on? Did he want to leave? Did he not get his move, so he's unhappy about it? Is he nursing a thigh injury, as they're reporting? Let us know in the comments, because obviously this is going to be a talking point over the summer until the transfer window closes. Does Alexander Isak remain at Newcastle? Make sure you smash a like, make sure you subscribe, because one thing that's clear for me is that Eddie Howe has come out and said, I want Isak to remain at the football club. And of course he does. Why wouldn't you when you've got the best all-round striker in the world right now? Complete forward when we're talking about, not just goal scorer, complete forward. Of course, you're not going to want to let him go. Yeah, you want a Hugo Ekitike. You see them gone to Liverpool, and that's who you were targeting if Isak did leave. But now you haven't got that fundamental replacement there. And I'm sorry, but the truth is, people, as football, you need to look at it that, if my best player is leaving the football club, who am I going to have to come in? Now, Isak leaving and going to get a Johan Vissa from Brentford, I'm sorry, but the levels are not there. The levels are not there. A £35 million forward, 28 now, compared to a peak forward, complete, one of the best in the world at 25 years of age, in his prime or going into his prime. I'm sorry, it doesn't match up. And that's why I can understand why Newcastle would have gone for Hugo Ekitike, especially with his age, being young, the profile, dropping into the pockets, linking up play, being able to dribble, carry the ball, interchange on the left-hand side, similar to how Isak and Gordon do it. At the end of the day, Newcastle now are in a position where they're getting into the Champions League regularly at the moment. They've got financial backing. They've got a good squad they're building. They've got a good manager. They don't want to be just losing their best player and then falling down. They want to be a team that's maintaining Champions League football each year. And that's why I respect Newcastle and their fans as well, because they've got one of the best fans in world football, especially in the UK anyway. St. James's Park is amazing, and their fans are great. One Club City. Everyone in Newcastle basically supports Newcastle, and they ain't going to accept, them what happened years ago when they got relegated and the trial and tribulations they went through. Now they're a consistent football club with a very good team, and what they're building, they're not going to want to lose Alexander Isak for peanuts, and also not having a good replacement coming in. And that's why Hugo Ekitike was linked. So this is the news coming out, people. Craig Hope, very reliable journalist for Newcastle Football Club. Alexander Isak has not travelled with Newcastle to Singapore for the pre-season tour. The striker is still nursing minor thigh injury. Obviously, that was reported this morning. So Isak's apparently got a minor thigh injury. We know that he has struggled with injuries over the last couple seasons. I'm not saying he gets injured all the time, but he always picks up a couple muscle injuries or he needs resting. He's not the most available forward. When he's available, he's amazing. But I feel like you do need to manage his minutes. And I think last year they probably struggled a bit with that because, unfortunately, Callum Wilson is even more injured. And now he's left the club on a free transfer. They've now not really got a replacement that can come in and deputise for Isak, which is why I think they want Johan Vissa, can play off the left, can play in the front two, can play as a replacement for Alexander Isak if he needs rotating or resting. And I think that's why Newcastle want that great option in their squad to have, because now Callum Wilson at there, they don't really have anyone other than Will Osula. And I think Osula has got definitely potential, but in terms of like being ready right now to start in the Premier League, having the experience, he doesn't yet. And I think that's why Newcastle are probably definitely keen to keep him. There's definitely potential in the player, but you can't rely on him, not when you're going for Champions League spots again and competing in the Champions League. Having 3 forwards, I think, is essential. And I think that's why you look at Chelsea now with Yao Pedro, Liam Delap, Nicholas Jackson, whether he stays or goes at the moment, 3 forwards. Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, Victor Gyökeres, Miko Marino at times, 3 forwards technically, plus 1 midfielder. Man City, Haaland, Marmoush. At the moment, they haven't really got anyone else, but they needed to bring Marmoush in to replace Julian Alvarez. Liverpool, Luis Diaz currently there, can play up top, Cody Gakpo, and obviously Hugo Ekitike. So you've got to look at your rivals and what they're doing and building that squad. And that's what I relied on when I was a football coach. When I was watching football when I was younger, Man United, we had abundance amount of strikers. We always had 3-4 with Ferguson. So with Alexander Isak, like, what do I think about this situation? Because personally, he's in the form of his life right now. Look, he's coming off the back of 34 games. That's actually really good availability. He only missing 4 games last season, 23 goals, 6 assists. The year before that, 30 league games, 21 goals, 2 assists. So he's got 20 plus goals in 2 seasons back to back, which is brilliant. That's what you want from your main hitman. If you're getting 20 goals from your striker in a season, fine, he's done his job. He has done his job. That was always the bar. That was always the barrier you want to get to. 20 goals is great. Very 20 goals is very good. 25 is great. That was always what it was when I was growing up. If Henri Van Nistelrooy and guys are like that, we're getting 25. I'm like, yeah, great season. If you're getting 20, you like very good season. That's what you want from your striker at a top 5, top 6 club. So Alexander Isak's actually in the form of his life right now. The year before that, 22 games, 10 goals, 1 assist. That's why I was talking a bit more about the injuries back then as well. That's when he was struggling a little bit with it. But then obviously last year had a little bit of time out, but it wasn't major, but it is showing that he's improving. He's starting to manage his body. And I think maybe because his frame as well, he's quite tall, slim, languid. He's probably not saying he's obviously in puberty, but he's molding into his body now, into his physique. He was always quite tall and scrawny when he was young as well. And maybe like it took his time for his bones to develop, his muscles to develop. And right now, he's in the peak of his powers. But when you look at Alexander Isak, with him potentially having this injury, do you guys believe it or not? Because if you look at his situation right now, in terms of clubs that could go out and spend 120 million on Alexander Isak, Liverpool was one of them that were willing to do that. But they've now gone and spent, 70 million on Hugo Ekitike, 150 million on Florian Wirtz. That's 185 million basically in transfers, whether it's staggered over payments or not. The total package is 185. I don't see Liverpool, after buying Kirkers and Frimpong, then going out and spending more money again on another striker and having Ekitike and Isak, because he isn't going to play a front two. And both of them are going to want to play. And I don't think rotating them each week, subbing one off, bringing one on, like it's going to help either of them. I feel like Liverpool wanted that one striker, and they've now got that striker. And I don't think they're going to come back in for Alexander Isak, especially not this summer. I just can't see it. I know there's been reports that Liverpool's spending spree is going to continue 300 million plus and going beyond. But I don't see that going into another striker. I see that potentially being a midfielder and a central defender, with Konate going to leave on a free next season. I just can't see how Liverpool would go out and spend big money again. So personally, I might be wrong. I'm ruling Liverpool out. Liverpool will not sign Alexander Isak this summer. That's not an information I've been told or anything like that. That is just what my instinct's telling me. They've got their reinforcements this summer. They've spent big, and now it's about tapping up the little holes in the team. Central defence, and obviously maybe a defensive midfielder or something like that, because they're going to need the squad, even though Endo's probably staying. So I'm ruling out Liverpool. And then you've got obviously Al Hilal or Al Ali and teams like that in Saudi Arabia that are probably willing to spend the big money. But at the same time, when I look at someone like Alexander Isak, I don't think he's going to want to drop his levels and go to Saudi, unfortunately. Look, I respect the Saudi League and what they're trying to do, but Alexander Isak is one of the best strikers in the world right now. He needs to be playing in the Champions League. He needs to be playing in the best leagues in the world in his prime. You go to Saudi Arabia when you're 29, 30, and you think, you know what, I've done my thing in Europe. Alexander Isak has not completed his time in Europe yet. He's not won major leagues. He's not won the Champions League. He's just getting into the big competitions and competing for the big competitions now. He's got his first trophy with Newcastle under the belt. He will now want more. If you're a top striker, an elite striker, you will now want more. So I don't see Alexander Isak going to Saudi Arabia. 100%, I see him staying in the Premier League, because Barcelona, I've always said, are the team for me that potentially could take him away from the Premier League. So I'm ruling out Saudi Arabia. I'm ruling out Liverpool. And I do think he stays at Newcastle this summer. I'm going to put my neck on the line. I think he would have wanted to move and gone to Liverpool Football Club, a team challenge for Champions League and the Premier League, of course, in the defending champions. And he would have suited them like a glove, because he's a false nine, facilitator nine like Firmino, and can score. But I think he stays at Newcastle. They're not in a position to let their star man go. And I think what will happen is Alexander will leave next summer. I'm going to call that Alexander leaves next summer, and I don't think Liverpool will come back in for him. And obviously, Arsenal have got their striker now. Man City have got their striker. I'm going to say that Barcelona could table a record bid for Alexander Isak and take him to La Liga, because for me, Alexander Isak suits Barcelona to perfection. Lewandowski will be a year older, probably on his way out by then. And Isak is that perfect striker to work with Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Rafinha, Rashford, whoever the other left winger might be when they sign someone else. Barcelona are the perfect team for Alexander Isak, and I'll love nothing more than to see him in that Barcelona shirt playing in the El Clasico in La Liga. That is my prediction, guys. But I think Isak stays. Don't panic, Newcastle fans, for now. But guys, get your comments in and let me know what your thoughts are. Does he stay? Does he go? Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side.